Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm Lauren Conlin. With me, my favorite former homicide prosecutor, Jarrett Ferentino. Hey, Jarrett.
Hey, Lauren. Good morning. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. I texted Jarrett late last night because it was really important to me to break down the Charlie Kirk assassination case. I've seen a lot of different legal commentators, law enforcement commentators on television, various media articles discussing the case and why they believe it should stay as a state case as it is right now in Utah County, Utah, or some people saying why they believe this should be a federal case. And you know, I was one of those people, or I am one of those people, and I am not an attorney. Jarrett is, so he can break things down a lot better than I can. But first, this morning, it did come out that as of tomorrow, and I can pull this up right now. Actually, that might be a bit better for you guys all to see with your own eyes, this article. Okay. So tomorrow, Tyler Robinson is due in court. It'll be his first court appearance since he allegedly killed Charlie Kirk. And the Utah County's attorney's office will officially file charges at 5 p.m. Eastern Tuesday against 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. He's currently being held in the Utah County Jail on suspicion of aggravated murder, discharge of a firearm, and obstruction of justice. And now it says a combination of federal and state charges may be pursued against Robinson, according to Utah's Attorney General. So wait, is it Robin? It's Robinson. That was
Robinson.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell? So now the Utah Attorney General says it's likely to be a mixture of both, and we're working together at this point. So that reminds me, of Luigi Mangione. And I think, Jarrett, I'll stop talking in a minute, but something I thought about is, the fact that I feel like this guy, Tyler Robinson, thought he could be like Luigi Mangione. He thought he would become this hero. I mean, that's another topic, I guess, but I'm seeing parallels at this point.
He's a lot like Luigi Mangione in that he's a coward and shoots unarmed people. So there's that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Whether or not federal charges are going to be pursued here.
Yeah.
One, the Utah charges were filed. They'll be refiled tomorrow with some additional information. As the past couple of days, as you could imagine, a lot of information has come out that will enhance those charges. So first of all, he's facing aggravated murder in Utah. Why? What's aggravated murder? That was like my first question is what constitutes aggravated murder in Utah, which is essentially a capital murder offense. And I went through the aggravated murder statute in Utah and said, what portion of this statute does this crime fit? Was Charlie Kirk a federal official or a government official? No. Was he killed with multiple other people? Does Tyler Robinson have the requisite criminal record? No. It looks like the aggravated murder is as a result of the killing itself put so many other people at risk for being killed. So when you kill someone and so there's 3,000 plus people in that crowd, he fires a gun into that crowd, into Charlie Kirk, but runs the risk of killing others nearby. So that is why it's an aggravated murder under Utah, which there's the death penalty, which is going to be pursued. To answer your original question and a lot of the discussion that people are having, why isn't he charged federally? You can be charged federally in addition to state charges, provided your case and the allegations in your case make this jurisdictional hook or meet these evidentiary standards that bring in murder is typically a state offense. It starts the state prosecutions I've done and the murder prosecutions I've done have been state murders. There were federal components to some of those cases. We were assisted by the FBI and ATF and DEA in many of those cases. But when you look at Mangione, why is Mangione charged federally? Okay, he's charged federally because there was an interstate travel component to his case, there was interstate stalking in his case, and there was a gun charge in his case due to the nature of the gun and how he received it, I believe. So that brought in the federal government. Even the case now with the train situation in DeCarlos Brown killing of
Marina Zariska, yeah.
So why is that a federal case? Because it occurred on a mass transportation system. That's your federal hook. So always be thinking, is the federal hook? You may say, hey, Charlie Kirk was a federal actor. He was in the political world. He was not a public official technically, although he was certainly a public person. I think it was in 2019. Lauren, there were views, or there were certain people in Washington in the first Trump administration that wanted to pass a domestic terrorism act, where any act of, and certainly this is an act of it appears to be an act of domestic terrorism, political assassination. Under what was being proposed, you can pull this into federal court. What has been made public so far?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the federal hook will be. It's probably something with the gun.
Wait, but you don't think, sorry, am I so off base with thinking that this could be religious or even some kind of hate crime? I felt
because we don't. Here's the truth is that's possible if what they're learning is coming out. So what's being reported is that Tyler Robinson is not participating with investigators.
Right.
He's not, but his roommate and possible romantic partner is. So perhaps they've discovered who he's communicating with online. This is the stuff they're looking for. And if this was part of it, let's say Charlie Kirk was targeted. I believe Charlie Kirk was an evangelical Christian. So if he was targeted for his Christianity, for example, and he's a member of a protected class, that would bring it to the Matthew Shepard hate crime legislation. Right. But we don't know that. That hasn't been made public yet. Entirely possible.
I mean, that was my first thought, Jarrett. My first thought was that this is perceived religious bias, a possible hate crime, and another part of this. And not to get too far into the weeds, but I think we have to address it. Carrie said this in the chat. She said, I'll pin it again, Utah governor can't be trusted, though, and that is something Charlie said in the past. I have experience in working, you know this. I have an entire series on Utah, specifically Utah County, okay? Not so much with Spencer Cox, but Sheriff Mike Smith, who appeared in one of the first press conferences, I believe, and maybe even in the second one. But obviously, he reports to Spencer Cox. But let me tell you, their department has mucked up cases to the point that prosecutors have had no choice but to drop the cases, which is very concerning. And Utah in general, I don't want to offend anybody because it's not everybody in Utah. I'm not bucketing anyone. It's this state that I don't quite trust. They have ulterior motives for certain things, and the Mormon Church, LDS in general, and again, not grouping everything together, they run that state. They absolutely run that state. And so I don't know the background as to why Charlie Kirk said he did not trust Spencer Cox, but I find that to be so interesting. So interesting. So it's concerning. It's very concerning. Now, I also don't know if you knew this, and this could be just me being gossipy, whatever. I'm not super thrilled with the FBI at this point. I'm not a cash guy. I'm going to just go out and say it. Not a cash guy. I read through Mediaite, Dan Abrams, which I believe is a trusted source, that hours after Charlie Kirk was shot and killed, okay, and his killer is on the loose, and it's all hands on deck, right? You've got a murderer on the loose. Not only that, Cash and Charlie were good friends, Cash is seen dining out at Rayos in New York City. What?
Yeah. Well, certainly if that's true, he should have been assisting his office and coordinating that investigation. My concern with a lot of this is how things are getting posted. Patel, he said that they had somebody in custody the night before, and it was not Tyler Robinson, and that person was let go and have nothing to do with the case. I don't know why the head of the FBI has the time or the inclination to be posting anything in a investigation like that. Anytime I've worked with the FBI, and it was on several of the larger prosecutions I've had, confidentiality was key. I mean, I was intimidated as a young prosecutor going into the federal courthouse, sitting with those agents, sitting with assistant U.S. attorneys. Typically these were extremely well-educated, well-experienced lawyers who come in with the weight of the entire federal government. As a state prosecutor, I held them in this high regard. And as I grew, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. You eventually, but I don't know what interest that serves. The fact, and I like, Dan Bongino. I followed Dan Bongino's career, but this whole accountability to the public on their own is a unique look for the federal government. I think I'm for openness in government, but not at the expense of the integrity of investigation. I think that those golden 48 hours should be spent with your agents, with your administration, putting that case together, and not on and things of that nature. And I'm just an old school guy. I think that way, and I think more people should think that way.
I don't even think that makes you old school. I think that makes you a responsible, reasonable human being. And you obviously are a lawyer. You're not in law enforcement, but you understand what it takes, to accomplish what you need to accomplish. And also it's, it's optics. I'm sorry. I understand that optics aren't everything, but when it comes to this, that is a horrible look. It's a horrible look. And I mean, listen, if anybody knows it's hard to get a reservation at Rayos, it's me, okay? You don't want to give that up. But dude, I mean, really?
Well, but the optics of him putting that information out and then that ended up being released, that damages your credibility. Whatever Kash Patel, as the head of the FBI, says should be gospel when he puts it out and in print. If he says we have a suspect, it's looking like we got the individual responsible, you should be able to take that to the bank by virtue of his position, not him personally. So I'm hoping their comms people start doing a better job. But really, I would anticipate there's going to be some federal hook made, whether or not it's because people trust Spencer Cox or whatever. I do believe that the DOJ, particularly the DOJ under President Trump, are going to use whatever jurisdictional hook they have available to them, even if it's thin, to bring Tyler Robinson within the realm of a federal prosecution. But just so you know, he is currently facing the death penalty in Utah. Right. He is, by all accounts, facing this is going to be a televised prosecution if he takes a trial, and the federal government is not. Worth noting. I mean, the guy who broke into President Trump's golf club, and that guy's on trial now, and nobody's really talking about that.
I saw that. I'm not interested in that. I think that's why.
What's his name? Roush?
I don't remember his name.
But he's on trial now, and you don't have the salaciousness because the case is not being televised. So my point is this. Right now, Tyler Robinson is in a world of trouble. His life is on the line. If the federal government brings charges in addition to those, great. I hope they find that nexus, because I think that this person should be prosecuted wherever he can be properly prosecuted. But I also think it's worth noting that even though Utah is prosecuting Robinson right now, they still have the assistance of the FBI. They still have the assistance of their investigation, and not very different than Kohlberger, who had the assistance of the FBI and things of that nature.
But I guess, I mean, a couple things. Well, the press conference, just going back really quickly, I was surprised at how much they were patting themselves on the back when really, and look, I think Dizzy said it. It was the releasing of the photo and the enhancement of the photo, which obviously, I had said this too. As soon as you splash that out there, someone's going to come forward and say, that's my friend, that's my brother, that's my kid. And, you're going to find your perp. But it was kind of surprising, I think, at how much they were relying on the public, and then how much Cash was sort of patting himself on the back. And look, even Spencer Cox, I didn't think Spencer Cox did that poor of a job in that whole presser. I actually thought he was pretty good. And knowing what I know about him, that's a pretty diplomatic thing for me to say, I think. But federal trials, Jarrett, I mean, state cases like this. And number one, I'm skipping over this comment here. He hasn't confessed yet. He told his dad he did it, but now he's buttoned up. And I think that goes back to what you said, we don't know the motives yet. And again, that could go hand in hand with the federal charges once we know this. But aside from it not being televised, aside from us not knowing much as the public, I mean, federal trials, they move faster, right? This guy could be sitting here for the next 2 years for all we know. Wouldn't we want this to move faster and just to get this finished? And wouldn't his family want the same? Not that they truly have a say, but right?
Well, they definitely move faster. Look at Diddy. I mean, that happened relatively quickly. But, justice, the speed at which this thing proceeds, to me, is not as important as getting it right. So to me, I would think, obviously federal cases move faster, but expedited justice shouldn't be the aim here. Justice should be the aim. And whether or not you're a death penalty person or think his life should hang in the balance, this thing's going to take a while just by virtue of that. Putting together Robinson's defense here, he's 22 years old. He'll be deemed indigent, can't afford counsel. You'll have medication put together. That takes time, that takes money, that takes a lot of evaluation, whether people like to hear it or not. Yeah. If you don't like the fact that Robinson's going to get a defense under the Constitution, be comforted by the fact that him getting a good defense is his likely conviction will withstand constitutional scrutiny and challenges down the road. So I would just say this. I think that I have faith as far as these prosecutors patting themselves on the back for capturing him and stuff. I mean, that's just par for the course.
I know.
When you catch the guy, if it went on for Mangione didn't get caught by his family. Remember, he walked into McDonald's and got recognized.
Yeah.
And by a stranger, not somebody familiar with him. Now, the photo was not nearly as good as, if I remember correctly, the photo that was put out of Tyler Robinson. But now what's coming out, Lauren, I don't know if you saw this, these Discord conversations that have been reported today or late last night, where it's alleged that it's Robinson discussing with some of his associates online, where they're saying, hey, Tyler, basically, this is you. If I turn you in, I'm going to get the award. And Tyler allegedly responds as long as I get a piece of it, kind of joke around, where he has the wherewithal, not only if he committed this act, to get on Discord, talk jokingly about it with his friends, kind of tells you where his head was at, his lack of remorse. And the conversation with his dad, I saw there was a comment, he hasn't confessed to law enforcement. I'm sure somebody advised Robinson prior to him being turned in to say nothing to the police.
His lawyer,
right. But that confession to his father, which is essentially locked in at this point, is, as you imagine, extremely powerful. Extremely powerful piece of evidence. I think there was and again, you can't know what's 100% true. I think there was some discussion of whether or not he wanted to take his own life. He didn't want to go to jail. But it is a surprise to me that he's not participating in the investigation at this point.
Right. And I did just pull up a recent article discussing some of the Discord chat where the post, those ads, man, they're so annoying, the pop-up ads. No, but he said it was his doppelganger when somebody,
Right.
mentioned it was him, and he said, no, it's my doppelganger. And then, I wanted to really quickly go back to something after this. Hey, Derek, good morning. Sorry, I'm not as good with the chat right now, but I want to go back to actually the probable cause affidavit, Jarrett. I don't know if you had a chance to look at this, but however, it goes back to me sort of not fully being on board with Utah and Utah County. I felt like a lot of this arrest affidavit really didn't make sense. It was a bit
Like what portion were you concerned? I certainly I have not read. I read as much as I could find on it or gleaned as much as I can to the articles. I didn't read the actual document. So tell me, what are you worried about?
I mean, they're pretty much saying that he jumped down with a rifle in his pocket. And I am not I don't know guns very well, but my husband's like, you can't jump with like a rifle in your pocket. Like, there's just certain things that they're kind of saying, like, he disassembled the rifle and then he reassembled it, put it just to drop it in the woods, like in a bag. And this is the type of gun that really, you can't really reassemble, disassemble super easily. I kind of push back and I'm like, well, the little that we know about this guy, what we've seen pictures of, he's holding a rifle at the age of 6, 7 years old. Maybe he really knows it. And, Matt was just like, nah, like, he's like, and so I'm looking at this and I'm like, yeah, actually, that's
the question I got most just so I was kind of all over this weekend, including my nephew's high school football game Friday night. And that's the question that people kept asking about. Some people were watching the game, but I was asked the question about how did he jump down with that rifle? And I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I like this guy for this. I don't know the extent he was involved with anyone else. I believe it's Robinson. I think they're making a compelling case from what we've seen so far. I don't know that. Another thing I was asked about was the inscriptions on the bullets as well. The most important thing you can take from those is intent. Intent that this was clearly something he prepared for, took his time for. And I know people are saying, well, it's self-evident he intended this. Yes. But when you look at the fact that what you're saying on inscriptions, if you're making political statements, if you're making statements as to motive, that may cause you, first of all, it's important because it coincides with other things Robinson may have been doing online, and it may backdoor him into a federal prosecution. So those pieces of evidence are very important. Somehow he got off that roof with the rifle. I don't know. Did he have it tucked up under his arm? I just don't know. It's hard to say. Clearly, it doesn't show him throwing it off the roof and it was totally together. I don't know. But I've seen some strange things, and I've seen killers do strange things after murders. So it's hard to apply logic to an illogical situation.
Yeah, and I mean, also they discussed this limp that he had in his right leg, I guess. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe that does mean he's got a limp, but the limp they noticed beforehand, I guess, on surveillance. So then if he's got some kind of injured leg, that's another reason where I'm like, I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist, but like, why would he jump then if he already has some kind of injury? It's weird, right?
Well, I'm sure. And the other thing, though, Lauren, his adrenaline is going at that point. He's on the move. Who knows? I mean, that particular part of it, I can't super analyze that. I mean, he got that rifle up there. He had to get it off the roof. And let's assume for a moment he worked alone, right? Yeah. He had to get it up and off that roof. There's clearly no one else coming onto that roof, what they're saying, or help assist him. And they found it in the woods. I don't know. I mean, I assume for the moment it's true. We'll see what else comes out. It's hard to say.
Yeah, I know. And I think, I went live and I discussed this because initially I really did think that he was working with other people. I didn't think, I thought that's why some of these wannabes were like, I did it and I do it again, because they were, I mean, I guess they're just insane people that were there. I mean, like, how insane do you have to be to say that you did it. Isn't that a little shocking to you that multiple people wanted to take credit for that were in that crowd, and we're not really talking about that either? Like, who the hell would take credit for that? Like, what?
You'd have to be delusional, quite honestly, and that just tells you the kind of people there are out there. And that's not a political statement. I mean, if there were people taking credit for killing the man they went to see and hear, and they had nothing to do with it, that's wild. I mean, that's very.
That's what I'm trying to say. I'm so confused by that we're also not sort of talking about that there were actual people in that crowd, not just one, multiple people who wanted the credit and were proud to. I mean, that's just, it's crazy. It's so crazy. So if you have time, and if anyone else hasn't read this, I can put this here. I put it in my Substack, but the arrest affidavit, it's all over the place. I didn't, when I posted this, I didn't post comments about it or my opinion. I just kind of put it out there. But read it. I think you'll find that it's really odd. It's just really, really strange.
I'm just looking at like the time notations too. You okay, and not to go Karen Reed here, but like if you're citing a time, you're pulling that of surveillance. So
okay, yeah,
what they're saying, they're affirming and swearing that it's true, and if it coincides with a time, I know it says approximately, but it says approximately 12:23 hours. That's on a video, supported by documentary evidence. Things like that. I mean, obviously they're talking about the shooting there, but then they get into great detail about Robinson's actions after. So I mean, Lauren, you got to realize how quickly that came out.
Yeah.
One of the things I have a friend who we both know who reviewed the evidence in the Boston Marathon bombing. They discovered our buddy Jay. I mean, so Jay reviewed countless hours of goings of people in the crowd when the Boston Marathon bombing happened. And you're having that happen now. A lot of those videos are still being reviewed. And that's what led them to the two individuals responsible. So when prosecutors and agents and law enforcement make these claims and they're that detailed, they typically coincide with video surveillance. So I'm hoping it's supported.
Right. And I can pull up, this is sort of, I mean, so much video has come out with, like you said, the surveillance video, and it is here. I'll share this. I mean, this shows him, let me just get the stupid New York there. Let me see. So this shows him walking down a street before the shooting. And so again, he's just got a backpack that I can see. And I mean, again, if I don't know guns, but does that mean the gun is just disassembled in his backpack and that's right? That's it? And he just assembled it on the roof? Like, do you know what I mean? Like I'm just, it just seems like a lot. The assembly, the distance, that's not an easy thing to do. Right. It's just weird. What, unless someone gave, I don't know. So
and those details, and again, those details may be forthcoming. So it's hard to commit. I mean, is it possible that gun was disassembled in a backpack? Yeah. Is it, it's amazing. Like he has a piece of it in his waist. He's got a piece of it. I don't know. I mean, and again, I'm no expert.
He drove, in his Challenger, they had that getting, on camera. That's what, so I just don't see it in his pant leg. Where am I like? Yeah. And so wait, so Dizzy said the rifle can't be disassembled. Exactly. And that's what my husband was saying, but that's not what police are saying. That's why it's so confusing to me. I don't see, just going back to where is the oh whoops, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. Yeah, I don't see it in his pant leg. Oop. Sorry. I don't see it, but again, it might have been, he might have gotten it in the car, right? I don't know.
Yeah, personally, I don't know, like those details. I on the firearm, I would, I'm certainly aware some firearms can be disassembled. This particular one, there are certainly I would call a firearm expert for such information if I
Right.
needed it. But
Right.
again, you know, I would imagine many of those questions, because one thing is for sure,
Yeah.
in this media world we live in, the investigators are well aware of the questions being asked and the theories being raised out there. My hope is on Tuesday, tomorrow, when these new amplified charges are brought and the additional evidence is disclosed, many of those questions will be answered. And they have even greater surveillance footage by someone who inadvertently captured much of this, or a camera that was at advantage to better capture it. So I'm very much anticipating that.
Okay, and then not to get too deep into conspiracies or the weeds, but I want to pull up this one video that I saw on Twitter, and just trigger warning, because it does show part of the shooting. So anyone who is does not want to watch that, just giving you a warning. Again, somebody just zoomed in on someone in the background who, and it could be nothing, but he just, here, let me show you. It's
Are you talking about one of the guards?
Yeah, he like switched something in his hand, and again, it's probably nothing, but I do find these videos to be kind of interesting, I guess, just to sort of see what people are looking at. And so I guess you're looking at this guy right here in the blue. And again, I'm sorry. I please don't focus on Charlie. God rest his soul. God bless him. Focus on the guy in the back where he appears to transfer something. Oh no, why did it stop? Sorry. I don't know why it keeps doing that. I don't know why my video keeps stopping, but yeah, this is
All right. So
annoying.
what's the theory? Some guy signals and is standing.
Yeah, they're saying that.
Okay. So first of all, that is horrible. It's
Let me
hard.
just fast forward this part. So he switches something in his hands there. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay. So if he's signaling to the shooter, he's in proximity of where the bullet's coming, right? And he has such confidence in Tyler Robinson's skill. He's signaling to the guy it doesn't get out of the way. I mean, that's nuts. Let me tell you something. The only thing people should be focused on in that video is how horrible that is, what happened. I mean, and let me tell you, like, I've seen my share of murders and blood and guts, and that's horrible. And traumatic for anyone that has seen it. But this stuff about people signaling to the guy, like, you're literally behind Charlie Kirk. The bullet could fly through him. Anyway, I don't think to get into those things. I call them conspiracy theories because there are conspiracy theories out there with legs, certainly. And I would never not encourage people to look into things on their own. I don't mean to be dismissive, but
no, you can't be.
That standing behind Charlie Kirk, signaling to a would-be shooter in the zone where the bullet can go is quite incredible.
Yeah, no, totally agree. I just wanted to put that out there just to see if anybody had any other thoughts on that. And you're right. I really don't. I guess I just go back to some of these things not fully making sense to me, but we're so early on in all of this, right? It is so early. We don't really know enough here, and he's not talking. The guy's not talking. And Drobonut says those guys are too close to take that chance, given where the
right.
shot.
And I don't know if I said it as clearly as Drobo did, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, and what are they signaling? He's here. He's sitting here. Okay, the guy has a gun fixed on him. He can't see that.
Yeah. I mean,
like, what's the signal? Charlie's sitting down. Charlie's talking. What is the signal? Like, that's to me, that's insane.
Yeah, and also I think I read this, and I don't know how accurate this is, but he wasn't like this sharp shooter that aimed perfectly. Charlie had a bulletproof vest on, and it kind of ricocheted, I guess, or but that's not proven either. But yeah,
Yeah, that's being speculated. It's hard to say, and I've seen that. I'm certainly familiar with situations where bullet had gone over the top of a bulletproof vest. I did see some of that online too, but again, I don't believe that's been added, and the investigation hasn't confirmed that.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean, look, it's, I want to see justice move swiftly, but I also, and this is just, again, a different conversation, Jarrett, but it has been so disheartening to see just the online discourse. I don't think I'll ever get used to people just stomping on someone's grave before the body is even cold because they had different views. They are being blamed for their own death because of their view. It's so wild. It's so wild.
So many of the people with that position too are like the stop the hate people. It's like, you ever notice? It's like, look,
Yep.
It's horrible. Any way you slice it. That, first of all, Charlie Kirk was a human being. He was a father. He was a husband. And they'll say, well, I feel that way about every victim that somebody loved. But the reality is he was there. He was putting his political position forward, welcoming debate. It should not have happened. It's cowardice any way you slice it. It's terrible.
It's awful. It's truly awful. And, like I said, I'm watching these clips of him and people calling him, a monster and and like, the thing is, like, people who are transgender would ask him questions. And I've seen these, like, they're unedited. They would ask him questions and he was so kind to them, even though he didn't agree with their lifestyle. He was so kind. He gave advice that he was asked, but he didn't look down upon them. And he was like welcoming. It was just like, I don't understand. Like, trans people don't agree with his lifestyle, right? He doesn't agree with theirs. What? Okay. So that's why we have this discourse here. So,
and we agree to disagree, right?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, Lauren, the trauma that we've been just the past week and a half,
Jared,
the train killing, the Kirk killing, what does this do to our kids? What does this do to people like this? And they'll say, this is like the 60s. No, it's not like the 60s. We have shootings quite regularly. We have and then to go into like this Watergate, we have like a Watergate every week. It's like,
I know.
It's not the same. It's not the same. And it's televised.
Let me ask you, because your daughter, she's younger, but she's still a teenager, but she's young, right? My kids, 9, almost 7. I mean, I can't really, I can kind of tell them this and explain to them like a little bit, but like, when you're 13, do they talk to you at school about this? Like, does she see the video? Like, what do you,
First of all, my kids knew who Charlie Kirk was. So in fact,
your son's older. I get that, but I'm talking about
my daughter knew who Charlie Kirk was.
Yeah.
I mean, she's on TikTok. She had seen many of his videos. So I sent her a text when it happened. And I said, Charlie Kirk was shot. He's hurt really bad, and she already knew. And she was out of school at that point for 10 minutes. So, okay. I mean, so they're well aware of it. And you just say that throughout history, people have been killed for their beliefs, and oftentimes they're killed by people who don't agree with them, and I certainly told her.
She has a phone. You can't help if someone saw the video and if she watched it or not. Did you ask her if she saw it? I'm just curious.
No, she saw it. Oh, she absolutely saw it. I mean, she saw it.
I have nightmares from that video. Like,
the kids saw it. I mean, everybody saw it, Lauren. It's awful, but I mean, everybody saw it, and it's terrible. And again, I don't know what. I've seen some horrible things. I've prosecuted dozens, if not almost 100 murders in my career. Certainly been a lot of them. There's something about knowing who someone was, knowing that they're young and have a family, and knowing one thing, you don't have to agree with Charlie Kirk, but I certainly know what mattered to the guy, at least the way he spoke. And to see him cut down that way was jarring. It was jarring. And I don't agree with everything. Let me say, I hate the fact you have to say that, but I certainly know what the guy was about, and it's tragic that he was killed. And anybody who feels different, like I said, like, that's never the answer. Never. It's not the answer, Gioni. It's not. It's just not.
I think you verbalized that so well. I think, and you know, I still can't figure out, you know, we see these horrible crimes happen all the time. We see school shootings, we see kids in Israel, and we see, you know, in Gaza, we see all of this, and it's awful, and it affects us. And this, I can't, I guess I couldn't really figure out, because I wasn't this huge Charlie Kirk fan where I watched him all the time. I mean, I really respected him for what he did. And as you said, I hate that we have to say I didn't agree with
One thing I can tell you about Charlie Kirk, I would feel dumb because of his ability to recall things. I would be like, how the hell does he remember all that? Like, I would watch, he would engage, and these videos come up now. I mean, over the several days, I mean, it's all to your entire feed is Charlie Kirk. And it's like his ability to recall detail. I mean, you know, and I've gone to school with some pretty smart people. I've you know, I have a law degree. Certainly, I've been around people that can make these things. This is someone who, I mean, it was remarkable the way he would just pull stuff out and be quoting biblical things and historical documents. It was really, really impressive.
But what you said, I think, is really what I think when it came down to it, why I think I was so jarred is because we know what was important to him, what was first in his life, what he put first. Obviously, that was God, but that goes hand in hand with his family, his wife, his children, who traveled with. He didn't want to be away from him. I mean, think about this. You know, we travel for work as husbands, as wives, as parents, and he just did not want to be away from his family because they meant so much to him. The biggest piece of advice he'd give people: have 1 million kids that you can't afford. You know, I mean, have it. Like, he was just so all about his family. And so I think to watch him get slaughtered in front of his family because someone didn't agree with his ideology is really what was so jarring for me. And I think why I still can't get over it. I can't. Yeah, I think you put that into what I could not say last week, where I was like, why am I so affected by this? And, you know, and my husband was like, is it because you saw the video and you saw it like happen and then you were hoping that he would be alive? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Because we've seen, I don't know. And then with Irina Zaritska, I keep seeing her face, like, you know, like this when she's crying by herself. And I'm like, is it because I'm seeing that? And that's I mean, I don't know. It's awful.
And you know, with that video, you know what's happening there.
Yeah.
Because you know the background in her video, she's dying there and no one is helping. Like, and again, I don't know what this is doing to people as a whole, you know, but I'm going to tell you, no matter how tough you are, these things, after a career of doing this, leave scars, and they leave things, you know, like they just do. And as the over the population as a whole, I don't know what it's doing, but it's certainly not, it's not a good thing.
No, I think you're right. Well, Jarrett, I'll let you go. We'll plug away with your YouTube so everyone can follow you, and I'll close us out now. But guys, go follow Jarrett. He's awesome. You can see him on TV. You can see him on YouTube. You can see him on True Crime. What is it? True Crime Tonight. You're on that show all the time.
So I love that show. Although they're 3 hours behind me. So we do that show and I go to my office. It's like 9:30 p.m. we start. So, but I love that. And likewise, Lauren. And love to see you.
Jarrett-crat. It's the
that's
best.
Right. Still a Jarrett-crat. Thank you, Afton, for remembering that. You know, middle of the road, moderate guy, right?
I love it.
But the Jarrett-crats go crazy over stuff like this. This is too much. So, anyway, great to see you, Lauren. See you again.
Yes, and Jarrett, we should connect again after the charges come out tomorrow. Like I said, 5 o'clock. Hopefully, we'll know more about federal versus state, because I do feel, again, like federal charges, they have to be coming. I hope they're coming. But.
Well, I have a lot of questions. Hopefully, they'll be answered. I'll be happy to come on and have that discussion.
Thanks, Jarrett. All right.
Thanks,
have a good rest of your day, okay?
Take care. See ya.
Bye. So something that he just said that I think makes a lot of sense. I'm just thinking about this now. He mentioned that, you know, in his career, everything that he has seen, you know, it has left a scar or it will leave scars. And we're at a point now where, or I guess there was a point in time where it was only law enforcement, only prosecutors who saw horrific videos like we've seen in the past 2 weeks, right? With Charlie Kirk, with Irina Zarutska. We are not equipped, I guess, or I know I am not equipped. I'm not equipped to see videos like that on a regular basis, go about my day, and have it not affect me at all. Or I don't know the effects that it will have, in the next couple of weeks, in a year. I have no idea. But I'm just thinking about that now. Like, I don't have training to see videos like that and how to compartmentalize in my head. So what is this doing to people who are not stable, I guess, or I mean, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. How is this affecting us as a society? I know it's affecting us incredibly negatively. I mean, for me, I'm trying to get through the day without seeing the blood coming out of his neck. I mean, I really can't get over it. And Dizzy, I hate this, right? The younger generation has become desensitized, and that's horrible. It's horrible because I cover crime, obviously. I cover horrible things, but I can't watch a horror movie. I'm sorry. I can. I like horror movies, but I can't actually watch the violence of somebody getting torn apart, a zombie movie, someone getting ripped apart. I just watched Weapons, where I had my head in my pillow half the time, but I really like the movie. I can't handle that violence. So it's it's definitely getting to me, definitely. And that's so interesting. Knife legislation, isn't that crazy? It's crazy. I mean, no, I think first and foremost, we've got to, I definitely don't want to get political, but I'm thinking about the Judge Teresa Stokes, in the Irina Zarutska case, where she let DeCarlos Brown Jr. off the last time he was in court. And by the way, he was in court after, he went crazy on the police for calling 911, saying that like people were in his head and making him do all this. He started going mental and getting aggressive and violent. So they brought him to a hospital, but like handcuffed him to a bed. So when he had his court date, that's when Teresa Stokes, the judge, was like, okay, well, let's just, here, we'll do this on a written promise to appear next time. And this is after he had 14 prior arrests, violent arrests, including an assault on his sister, where he literally bit her, burglaries with weapons. So that's like felony larceny. I mean, it's wild. And she said, okay, written promise to appear. That's one judge. I know that if you saw some of my content last week when I was in Manhattan criminal court for a hearing that I was waiting on, I was shocked at the judge offering an alleged Venezuelan trafficker a bail package, okay? And we're not talking Diddy, the Alexander brothers, trafficking, right? We're talking like Venezuelan, and I'm not sorry. I don't mean to like diminish that, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm talking about kidnapping Venezuelans that came to the country 3 years ago that are actually taking women against their will. This guy allegedly drove the victims to and from, was muscle. If they didn't want to do it, he would allegedly use force or violence. And she's like, yeah, here's a bail package. I think it was like $150,000 cash or something. I have it written down, or I tweeted it. And it was terrifying. And I'm like, what is with these judges? I completely understand that some criminals deserve second chances because they made mistakes when they were younger. They're changed, whatever. The percentage, though, in New York City, for example, or a guy like DeCarlos Brown Jr., I mean, don't be lazy. What's wrong with you? Just don't be lazy. It's so troubling, so disturbing on so many levels. And then the case before the Venezuelan alleged trafficker was 2 people involved in a child ring. And these two people were already granted bail months ago. Okay. Their role in the S trafficking ring was taking photos of this 14-year-old girl and putting them on Craigslist, sending them out to people, and trying to get her customers. And they're out on bail. Fine. Okay. Whatever. I'm like, I don't know. I definitely don't feel safe walking down the street with these people. I don't. So anyway, yeah, there's a lot there. Sorry. I didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but here we are. So anyway, let me just think of some other announcements or anything else I want to just discuss quickly. And I'm trying, like I said, I don't want to get too political. I hope you guys, I know everybody in the chat, I think you guys are having a discussion right now, but I love everyone in this chat and you guys are all super respectful. So yes. But I have, for members, I'm going to be releasing a very fun interview with actor Tony Goldwyn for members today. It'll be available for everyone else tomorrow, but I love him. I love watching him in Scandal. And I had a very busy day, the day of this interview, and one of my meetings ran over. So I was in a cab trying to get home and I was like, I'm never going to make it. So I took the interview from the taxi. So it's fine. It's not amazing, but it's also kind of funny because if you followed my Diddy coverage, you saw me in a taxi and an Uber a lot, but this was different because I'm trying to talk to an actor that I respect and I'm a big fan of. So it's not like hard-hitting journalism or anything like that. And then, guys, I think you'll all be interested to hear that I will be covering the Luigi Mangione hearing tomorrow at Manhattan Criminal Court. I'll be getting up at the butt crack of dawn. It's like Diddy all over again because it's a nightmare there. It's literally a nightmare between all of the fangirls, which is just like in itself a whole thing I have to process. And you know, I'm going to try my best to be civil to everybody. Just kidding. I'm always civil. But I think what I'm going to do at some point today is do a quick video recap of Luigi Mangione's state case so far. And, you know, I'll throw in some federal details, but so far he's really only had a majority of hearings and, let's say, drama with the state. So I anticipate tomorrow's hearing being very important because they will be discussing what the defense has said is this alleged HIPAA violation. Now, the prosecution has said this is a whole nothing burger, you know, because it was an accident. We didn't request any of this stuff from, I think it was Aetna. They just accidentally sent it over to us and we destroyed it. We don't care, whatever. And the attorneys, Luigi Mangione's attorneys are saying, no, we want sanctions. We want charges dropped because of this. You guys, you know, you violated my client's HIPAA. So, and yes, I loved Scandal, MJ. It's so good. I love Scandal. So yes, anyway, that's what's going on with me for today and tomorrow. So yeah, I will publish the members only Tony Goldwyn right after this. And then hopefully, yeah, by the end of the day, I'll get a video out just to recap Mangione so you won't be totally lost when I cover the hearing tomorrow. But I always love talking to Jarrett. He's great. He's so knowledgeable and everybody should go follow him if you don't already. And shout out to Dizzy for being the best mod. I appreciate you, Dizzy, all the time. And thank you. That's really nice, Chris. Oops. Sorry. Luigi. Oh, yes. Karen Agnifilo is Luigi's lawyer. Sorry. Brain fart. It's Monday. Okay. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching, for listening. I hope you learned something. I definitely learned something from Jarrett. So anyway, I will catch you all later. Bye.